Hi, I'm Liz Cully, and welcome back to Cool, Cool, Cool. Each week, I give you a glimpse into what I think is cool and chat with a ton of people that are definitely cool. No topic is off bounds unless, I guess, it's not cool. Welcome to Cool, Cool, Cool. This is a once-in-a-lifetime special situation where the one and the only Ravioli Toes is on Cool, Cool, Cool. And she's miserable, and it's going to be great, but she's with her mom, and you guys are welcome. You asked for it. I'm giving it to you. Ravioli has made her debut on Cool, Cool, Cool. She looks Ms. right now. Look at her in the camera.
She's so sad.
This is like, me a gun. I just read an article that humans are actually altering. You know how over time dogs have obviously, they were wolves, pack animals, non-domesticated. Us humans, we have domesticated these beautiful dogs. But apparently we're like further domesticating them to the point where like all of even their instinctual habits, whether that's protecting, sleeping out, the ability to sleep outside, etc., because we are so anxious as a human race, we are like making all dogs like this.
I think it's good. I no longer have the ability to sleep outside. Why should my dog have to have it?
Could you imagine making your dog sleep outside?
No.
Well, one, in LA, it's like just call the coyote on the phone and say, come on over.
Yeah. My dog actually lived outside for a long time before I got her. They found her on an abandoned fairground and she was very pregnant.
Wait, an abandoned? Oh, your angels had babies?
Angels had babies.
God, man. I always feel for the LA strays who have had babies.
Yeah.
On a fairground? What fairground? Like Pomona?
Bakersfield.
Damn.
Yep.
Bakersfield? Mm-hmm. Oh, you got a real one over there.
She's seen a lot. And now she sees nothing. Now she's just old. She lives on my couch.
Yeah, do you even have to like really take her out for walks, but just for potty?
No, we just go outside for 2 seconds and then she pees and then we both look at each other like, what are we doing? This is crazy. Let's go back inside.
Rachel decided as of 2 days ago that she's going to teach Ravioli how to speak. So now I have those buttons in my house. And I'm like, fucking Christ. Oh, during the pandemic, she did gymnastics. Like a whole she was going through like, you know, like little kids' gymboree classes. I had the whole thing set up in the house.
Kendall got into this a little bit too. She bought a hoop.
No. Jordan. Hoops. Tunnels. I was just like equestrian jumps. But you know what? I have to say, she did it.
I mean, I'm sure she did it and I'm sure it's cute, but I'm like, let her rest.
Well, she was a baby at the time. I mean, she's still a widow baby.
Old.
No, she's only 4.
Oh my God. No, Angel's so old. So anytime Kendall's like, let's teach her a new trick. I'm like, let her rest. Why does she need to learn a new trick? She used to live outside.
Speaking of like so many tricks and learning new tricks, you are like, you've got a stacked plate of situations going on.
Yes.
New show.
Yes.
Show you've been on.
Yes.
Social media influencer.
Yes.
Multiple or podcasting, your own podcast, podcasting here today as a guest. So like what? Whoa.
That's so nice.
Well, it's true.
Yes, it's true. It is true. Nothing you said was untrue. It feels simultaneously easy and hard.
Explain that.
Well, the work I'm doing isn't inherently hard work. Like I always say, my mom's an ICU nurse. So my mom works multiple days a week. My mom works I think my mom's supposed to work a 10-hour shift, but ends up normally working like a 14-hour shift because of stuff going on. So nothing in my job is hard like that. But it is hard being on the internet. And I've been bitching to you about that. I've been bitching to anyone who will listen about that. Being on the internet has been absolutely miserable because you're just not designed to consume that much feedback.
No.
Positive or negative.
But also like completely ill-informed and uninformed feedback, if that makes sense.
Sure. It's just everyone is like, I'm just going to say without thinking, and it's not good. It's not good for my brain. It's not good for your brain. Someone recently was telling me, and I wish I could remember who it was, so I'm sorry if it was you, but someone was like, legally, people should only be allowed to leave 3 comments a week across all social media platforms.
But what if it's positive? Even if it's positive?
I still think even if it's positive.
Because
you
I'm
only have 3. Okay. So people really need to think about what they're going to do, right? You know you only have 3. You got to be like, I got 3. I want to use them wisely. Whereas like people are just coming to my profile and just firing off fat on every video without even thinking.
People come to mine and they're like, hag without thinking.
Sure.
And it's, you know, it's gotten a little intense. I also just think that it must be so freeing to not be absolutely mortified that you're writing shit like that on the internet.
I can't imagine the kind of self-confidence or lack of self-awareness, probably a combination of the two, that you could have to leave a weird comment on a social media post.
And maybe it's because every job I've ever had has done like a deep dive on me. Maybe it's because I'm, I don't know, not a piece of shit. But I'm never going to be like, you're the X, Y, and Z. I mean, I would love to, but I would be horrified if somebody saw that I wrote something like mean to somebody on the internet. Funny, but like not mean.
Yeah, I need to step away from all of it because my brain feels like a sponge that's been absorbing. Also, a big thing that I've noticed is that people do not understand that things are edited.
Oh.
So that's something that I run into a lot, where people will be like, you cut this person off while they were speaking. I'm like, that's an edit.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't do that.
But Jordan, you're getting, now. I mean, that's like, we were even base level people not understanding common sense, but you're taking it to like heights of having to comprehend film and television.
Yes, which I think you don't need to, but also if you see something, maybe you could think like, oh, maybe I don't know 100% of the stuff about that. I just can't fathom thinking everything is about you. Literally, someone could be like, I want to kill Jordan Myrick. And I'd be like, that's probably not about me. They're probably talking about somebody else. Because why would it be about me? You know what I mean? Like when I see a video, I don't think it's about me. I've just never thought that. But I think the algorithm is also like making all of us a little kooky. So, you know, I get it, but I need to stop looking at comments.
Yeah. It's funny because the majority of your content is about food.
Yeah.
Which like, and I say this respectfully, that's not like a controversial topic. Which makes me very, which makes me very scared and sad because even non-controversial content, it's not like you're Rachel Ray making like insane. Have you ever seen any of those clips? You don't know what I'm talking about.
Which ones? I mean, I love Rachel Ray. She was a huge part of my life.
Oh, okay. Well, there are all these videos now of these people looking at like some of the recipes that Rachel Ray did that are like absolutely completely unhinged but even and bonkers.
Like, that's not her. She had a whole team of people.
I know that, but you and I know that, but it's really funny. And it's but it's still not even mean. It's like these are like insane. Or it's like Sandra Lee. It's like where she's like glug glug glug. It's like funny.
I love those.
Me too.
Do you know that Sandra Lee was married to Andrew Cuomo?
I am very familiar with that because they were neighbors with my sister's mom in New York.
Wow.
And did you also know that Sandra Lee was a QVC star?
That makes sense.
And she created a curtain rod, or she made a rod where you could put any fabric of any kind and it would turn it into like a curtain drape. And she became a huge QVC star and was super fucking rich on her own. And do you also know that she has more fucking money than Andrew Cuomo?
I love that.
And actually, I don't actually think they ever legally got married because of that.
Wow, cool.
And she's a G.
That's great. I love that for her.
No, same. I like went on a deep dive of Sandra Lee.
Yeah. I think that people will find a way to be upset at you if they are upset in general. So recently I posted a video after I went to Buc-ee's and I was like, the food is good. The vibes are weird. You go in, for some reason
What's Buc-ee's? Okay. Am I stupid? I don't even know what that is.
Buc-ee's is a gas station situation that started, I believe, in Texas.
Okay.
And is big in like Texas up into maybe like Arizona.
And it's one of those places where it's like you stop off the freeway and it's there.
It's huge. But their thing is they have so many different food items and they have merch and they have all these things and their food is like pretty good. So I went on a recent road trip when my fiance and I were helping our friend move from New York to LA. And we stopped at Buc-ee's because everybody hypes it up so much. I went. The food was good, but the vibes are weird. There are like, don't tread on me mugs everywhere. There's Confederate flag stickers on cars in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's like, the vibes are not vibing.
100%. Which also like, that is also the South at large. And I get that. I grew up in the South. So that is not lost on me. But I thought it was interesting that I had never heard anyone comment on that about Buc-ee's. So when I went into it, I was like, this is going to be some kind of beautiful, we're all equal here paradise that has clean bathrooms and barbecue pork sandwiches. I really thought it was going to be like something special.
That place sounds great.
It sounds great. But the food was good. The vibes were weird. I'm not saying don't go, whatever. And people were in my comments being like, just so you know, Buc-ee's provides good wages to people in towns where it's hard to find a job with a good wage. I'm like, great. I didn't say that we should burn them all down. I just said, me as a gay person, I was surprised by how conservative they felt. And I probably should have thought about that because it's a gas station chain in Texas. So that's all I said. But now all of a sudden I'm becoming someone who's like being inconsiderate.
Did Buc-ee's reach out
to Buc-ee's Corporation, to people looking for jobs? Just very, but those are people who want to be upset. So they will find a way to be upset. And I have to be like, that's on them. That's not on me.
Well, yeah, because we need you to continue to do your honest reviews. Though I actually have to tell you something, because I watch all of your content. For the most part, the sentiment, if somebody was like, sum up Jordan's like food journal diaries and like, I'd be like, she likes everywhere she eats.
Okay. Here's the thing.
I've never really heard you say anything bad. And I'm like, I'm generalizing you. But for me, I'm like, yeah, she like always fucking likes it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I don't like. But I don't think there's any benefit in me shitting on local businesses, family-owned businesses, cuisines that maybe I don't know that much about. So I try to really stay in my lane. I will talk shit on big restaurants, big restaurateurs. I think John and Vinny's is bad, and I have no problem saying that. Once again, they don't care what I think, so it ultimately doesn't matter. But for me as an individual, I've been there 3 times, and the pasta's been uncooked every time I've been there.
Terrible.
That's my personal experience. And if that's not your experience, that's totally fine. If you're best friends with John and Vinny, feel free to clip this out of the episode.
Full disclosure, I was a former employee of John, not at the restaurant John and Vinny's. I opened up a place called Son of a Gun, and it just closed, which was so heartbreaking. And they sat me next to Vinny. And I was like, hey, buddy.
Son of a Gun was delicious. I have a friend who also used to work there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was the second host.
Okay.
We're talking 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And then some chick tried to step to me because it was like the end, it's like a funeral dinner. It's like, that's what they call the end of the restaurant. And this girl's like, yeah, I mean, I'm like OG. And all the 2 cooks in the kitchen, Greg, shout out, also a Burbank lover. Wonderful man. We've known each other forever. And he's like, no, Liz was like the original. I'm like, I was here when it first opened. But yeah, I also will say, because I don't think it's fair to leave you on this hill, I don't like the restaurant John and Vinny's. It makes me very sick after I eat there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's not my cup of tea.
Yes. And also, I don't think my word is gospel. So I'm like, if you like it and I don't like it, I actually don't care. Like, I don't think that says anything about me, and I don't think it says anything about you. My content is that I want to make food accessible. I want people to be able to relate and find community through food. And I want people to find enjoyment through food and experiencing each other's cultures through food. So I don't need to go on and be like, I went to this Thai restaurant in Thai Town. It was kind of ass, because I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to make a video lying and be like, this is the best Thai restaurant I've ever went to. Everywhere that I post that I say I like, I genuinely like. But there are a lot of restaurants that I go to that I don't post because I didn't really end up liking it, or it wasn't for me, or whatever.
But I really like that, because if you look at my like TripAdvisor, I'm really taking a hard pivot here. If you look at my TripAdvisor or my Yelp reviews, they're all 4 to 5 stars, because I don't want to go on Yelp and shit on someone. I actually just want to help people that if they're looking at that restaurant and they need to know if it's good or not, I liked it. I think that's fair, actually. And it's not like we're the fucking New York Times. Like, we have to tell you something's bad and like destroy somebody's career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I don't need to do that. Like, there's enough people telling you that a restaurant is bad out there. I don't need that to be me. And also, if I have an actual problem with a place, I'll just email them. I don't need to put it as like a public review.
Yeah, that's
But if
fair.
I go somewhere where like their server was really homophobic to me, I'll just email the restaurant and be like, hey, this happened. It really was not cool. And I recommend you guys like figure that out.
Which is like the adult thing to do. Talk to me about your new show because I'm very excited about it.
Thank you for asking. I'm very excited too. It's called Gastronauts. It is on Dropout, which is a comedy television streaming platform. I think it's like $4.99 a month for the whole network. And they have so many shows. They have comedy specials. They have all kinds of stuff. And it's a good company that I've really liked working for so far.
We
which
love
is
that.
Awesome.
We love that. We love that.
And the show is a comedy cooking competition show. So if you think Chopped meets a bunch of comedians who don't know that much about food, that's what you're getting.
A dream.
Yeah.
Do you also know that I've literally watched almost every episode of Chopped that's ever existed?
As have I. I love it. I think it's incredible.
Wait, did you also see my dinner? My like Make-A-Wish Foundation dinner? Oh my God,
When
Jordan.
was this?
I'm actually really surprised you didn't reach out.
When was this?
Okay, so a month ago, Tiffany Faison, who you should
I know from Top Chef.
And from Chopped, she's like one of the
Oh, right.
like
but the top,
yes, of course.
She's a Top Chef.
Very, very close friend of mine. She was in town filming something for Food Network and we were trying to have dinner. It was a Monday. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Everything's closed. We were trying to go to Carousel, which is like so
Delicious.
fucking delicious.
Yeah.
Closed. Jitlada. Closed. Like everything we were trying to do was closed. And she finally goes, hey, can you just meet me at my hotel and we'll figure it out? I had dinner at a steakhouse in Burbank with Andrew Zakarian, Chef Amanda Freitag, Manit, Tiffany Faison, and me. And we ate bloomin' onions. We ate steaks. We ate calamari. We ate weird cheesy garlic breads. We had the entire dessert platter.
Wow.
It was, I have the picture that like when you're at like Disneyland where they come around and take pictures. Zakarian bought pictures for all of us and had them in like the little frames. It's in my office.
I need to see this.
I have to tell you, it was, I've met a lot of famous people in my life, but having a dinner and I kept going to the fucking waiters being like, these are all Iron Chefs.
Yeah.
And Chopped champion chef. Like, are you like, and also, can I tell you what I did?
Yeah.
I said, if you're a real fucking Chopped fan, you'll know. I was waiting all dinner for something sweet to come out. And I go, this is cloyingly sweet. And everybody laughed. Anyway,
that.
so as one Chopped fanatic to the other, the fact that you like took your time to make an even funnier version of Chopped, like how, I mean, you're a national treasure, Jordan.
Well, Chopped is so wonderful, but we were kind of like, what if normal people got to judge a cooking competition show? So the format of this show is every episode, I'm the host, and I also creative produce the show. And 3 comedians join me every single episode. And each comedian brings their own challenge that is goofy and silly and weird. Some of the comedians are really into food, know a lot about food. Some comedians have absolutely no clue what they're talking about, seem like they've never eaten food. And then we have real professional chefs who are head chefs at big restaurants in LA, have been on Chopped, have been on Top Chef, people who are chefs to celebrities. They come on and they compete in 3 rounds of cooking challenges
that the comedians came up with.
Yes.
I would just like to say, and I know it's really bold because I'm not a famous comedian, but if you need like a third, like if somebody bails and then the next person bails and then you're like, oh my God, we have to shoot, we need one more person, I would like to formally put myself in that ring.
I would love to have you.
Because
you know I love you. So
I know I love you too,
you.
but that's like my fucking dream. Like,
it's incredible.
It's so good, Jordan.
It's also so fun to see.
Also, we need to have
chefs.
Tiffany on it.
I would love to have Tiffany on it.
Yo, Tiffany. Well, she listens to the show. So Tiffany, you gotta
Tiffany, follow me back. I would love to have Tiffany on it. I've been a big fan since Top Chef season 1. But it is so fun to see what the chefs do when they're met with such bizarre challenges and how creative they really can be. I think it feels like you are really highlighting what an art cooking is. Because we've had insane challenges like One of our first challenges was from Oscar Montoya, who's an actor and comedian who has been on The Minx and has done a ton of stuff. And he brought that he loves action figures. So he wanted the chefs to make an edible action figure for him that you could actually play with before you consumed it.
That's so hard.
It was unbelievable. We had one chef ended up like making a thing that like had mozzarella stick arms, and he was like a superhero who could stretch. So you would like pull the arms. We had someone else who like fully beefed the challenge, and the thing they were trying to do like did not work. So in the last minute, he just sprayed gold dust over it, and it was just like a huge pile of like Rice Krispie treats basically. And he was like, "Oh, my superhero is a shapeshifter. So take it and shift the shape." And I'm like, that's so fun and funny. That's so interesting. What a great way to cover your ass. Like,
I love that.
Perfect. One of the comedians brought on, they just said they want the horniest dish you can think of. So the chefs had to make the horniest dish they could think of, whatever that meant.
What was the horniest dish?
We had one chef that did like an experiential thing where she did like an oyster shooter with like a quail egg yolk and caviar and gold leaf. And she gave you a blindfold to put on. You had to sit on your hands, and she like told you when to eat it.
You know what's interesting?
Tell me.
Pause. Everyone's always like, oysters, aphrodisiac, quail egg. I'm like, it's very slippery.
It's very viscous in the mouth.
Viscous in the mouth.
I mean,
and I don't know if I want viscous anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to have just a big glass of water before I have sex.
Only water.
Personally.
Yeah. What? I want to have a big meal? Get the fuck out of here. So I got like creepy tummy stuff happening.
Some people do though. There's a guy that's in an episode that his challenge was that he wanted you to make food that he could eat out of a horse feeder bag because he's a gamer. So he wanted to not have to eat with his hands. So all the chefs had to make things that you would eat out of a horse feeder bag. But he's a real fun sex freak and goes to a lot of sex parties and stuff. And his thing is they will like invite people over for threesomes, and he will make you like a 4-course meal before you have a threesome with him.
I just think logistically,
it doesn't make sense for me, but there are some people that are more physically sound than I am.
I just have too rough of a tummy situation to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Wow. All right. Interesting. I'm just trying to process all of that fat, oil, salt, heat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wow. So, wow. Has anybody ever epically failed so badly they've gotten really frustrated?
You know,
or are people having fun?
I think people are having fun, but what I'll tell you is a lot of people do not come in having fun. We had multiple people that came in that were kind of like, yeah, I'm the best chef, whatever, like don't fuck with me, like that kind of vibe. And I was like, okay.
Oh, so you had like Michael Vittaggio on?
Just like normal chef, you know, very kind of like chef-y behavior where I'm like, relax. And then after they do the first challenge, they're like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I've been on other culinary competition cooking shows and they've been
easy.
They've been different. They've been more intense. They've been, I think, not as nice. People kind of vocalize that like there are some shows that it doesn't feel as nice or friendly behind the scenes maybe. And so when they realize that our show really is fun, we're not trying to get anybody, we're not trying to embarrass anybody. It's so much more interesting to watch people cook good food and have fun and be creative than it is to watch people just fail over and over again.
I know, because that's really tough. I mean, I think even like the time, like when you watch these shows, it's so high product. It's like the time, it just doesn't even seem possible. They always cut themselves because they're going too close. And then you have medic. I'm like, I don't fucking want to deal with this.
Yes. So we wanted to set people up for success. So when I think people realized that, they were able to relax a little bit more and enjoy it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And you've been working with YouTube fucking OGs, Rhett and Link, for a long time.
Yes.
I worked with them back in the day from the business side, like too many years ago to count. They have really continued without ever stopping for so long.
They work nonstop. They're always working.
How did you meet Rhett and Link?
So this is kind of a long and fun story, but my best friend Lily, who is a former cast member and writer at College Humor, which is now Dropout. Yeah. College Humor turned into Dropout.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yes.
Got it.
So Lily used to be a cast member and writer at College Humor and is my best friend. And she got drunk one night, maybe 4 years ago at this point, and sent out a text to a couple people that was like, would you ever be interested in taking tennis lessons? And a couple people were like, yeah, sure, I could maybe be interested in that. And then the next morning we had an email from her that was like, I've signed us all up for tennis lessons.
Okay, first of all, I love Lily.
Yes, she's very like that. If you know her, you'll be like, yes, that story tracks 100%. So then I ended up taking tennis lessons with Lily and her husband, my fiance, me, and then our friend Mike Trapp, who's the former head writer of College Humor. He was like, I have a friend who's moving to LA who works in editorial, who's a food writer, who is she's being flown out here to start a food website. Would you be interested in that? At that time, this is like kind of towards the end of the pandemic. I'm like writing clickbait for money. So I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. He was like, great, apply on LinkedIn. You can put me down as a reference. I'll like mention it. Cool. So I get called in for an interview, do the interview. I'm like, that went really well. I'd be perfect for this job. End up getting the job, and it's at Mythical, which I didn't really realize
what it was.
So Mythical was starting a food website called Sporked, and I was brought on as part of the starting staff to build that website. So I was their staff writer, and then I was their senior staff writer, and then now I'm a content producer for them, and then like an on-camera personality for Sporked and Good Mythical Morning and Mythical Kitchen. So that's how I know Red now, because they're my bosses.
Damn. And you didn't even know what it was. I mean, that would be like a dream YouTube gig for anyone.
It's been a very different world for me because I don't know much about YouTube. I kind of like missed that.
Thank God.
Era for whatever reason. But my fiance Kendall is very into YouTube. So she was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, I've seen these men. I know them. They seem very nice and funny. I don't know that much about like what all of this is. And she was like, no, this is like the real deal.
They're so interesting because they've been producing high-level content as if they are their own network for so long. Obviously, at my work now, we featured them in our top creators, and they've really been, I think the North Star of what you can do as a content creator to like employ other people. Like that's the dream, right? Is to be in a situation where you can like bring new talent on, start new verticals, like really cool. Is there anything you've learned from them that you've applied now to your own show?
I think that they take good care of themselves. I think they look at what they need to look at. They don't look at what they don't need to look at.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's a really important and helpful thing that I should take moving forward. I also think they surround themselves with people who they genuinely like. And
I think that's key in anything that you do. You could be working anywhere in any field. And if you're around people that you generally like, I think it's really, really helpful.
And they do genuinely really like each other, which is a big question I feel like people will ask me, but they really genuinely like each other.
No, I guess I didn't ask just because I think I do know that they do like each other. And you can feel that when people don't like each other and you've been working together for that long, I think it would be one, very difficult to maintain, but two, it's like pretty obvious.
Yeah.
You know who I wonder that about?
Tell me.
George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
No, they like each other.
You think?
Why would they not?
Because they got a good thing going on there.
I think that there's no reason for them to not. I think they have plenty of space between the two of them, but they also get to work together. But they're also both seen as successful. I don't feel like because they're two men, they've ever been pitted against each other. Pardon my pun. Brad pitted against each other.
I just got it. It took me a minute.
Sure. Yeah, so I think they probably like each other.
Yeah.
But I think
I don't know.
You're not buying in.
I think that it's like, I think it's really hard to become famous attached to somebody else.
Sure.
In any way, even if it's tight closeness or not. And I just think it's interesting that those two, I think they like figured out when they combined forces, it was unstoppable. It's two rich, hot, white, cis men.
Sure.
And it's like they have foreign value. It's like it never ends, right?
Yeah.
So I think that they have, because if you've noticed, they've been doing more and more together. I'm really going off on a tangent. I needed more coffee today. But I think that it's interesting they keep doing more and more together. And I think it's because they're like, when to become one. And they're just like, fuck it.
I can't even think of what George Clooney's been doing lately.
Shit with Brad Pitt.
Okay. I got to stay up to date.
Also, he married a wildly brilliant, smart, beautiful, like game-changing woman. And I think that's like the other thing that kind of like happened. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, that's what I think of him mostly as now. I'm like, he's a very successful husband.
He is a very successful husband. Indeed. Absolutely. I want to talk about me being basically shadow banned on TikTok.
Yeah.
You are so good at TikTok.
Wild. I'm okay at TikTok.
You're so good at TikTok.
I think I'm so good compared to you. No offense.
You know what I've leaned into, Jordan?
Tell
you know
me.
how when you put like pictures and videos together, it can say auto create and it's like really weird, cringy, like everything's sliding into each other and it's like pictures on pictures. I've just do that.
I think that's great. I think you are better at real life than me. So I am better at TikTok than you. I think it's hard to be good at both.
But you're so good at it. Like, I just think about when you guys went to Taipei, right?
Yes.
Which I've got to go to Taipei.
It's incredible. It's one of the gayest places I've ever been.
So guess what? Less than 24 hours ago, in this room right here, comedian Jenny Yang told me the same thing.
Brilliant. I mean, I haven't heard a bad take from her.
I haven't heard a bad take from her either. But you like did these food blogs. It's like, is that something that you want to do more of? I don't know how you even would have time to travel.
I would love to do that. I would. Are you losing jewelry?
Oh my God.
Are you shedding jewelry?
I'm shedding my jewels. Like literally just fell on ravioli. Like this like diamond necklace was like, bye. Oh my God. Could you imagine?
No, I would love to do more travel content. It's hard right now. And I have no clue what my career is going to look like. Okay. Moving forward, because you never know. You never know when something's going to get cut or canceled or anything. I have no job security whatsoever. So, I try to just keep a lot of balls in the air. I come from an acting and comedy background, whereas I think a lot of people on the internet had other jobs and then started making comedy content during the pandemic.
But you're also a writer, lest we forget, clip of the century. You write children's podcasts, or you did?
Yes, I used to write children's podcasts. So but my background is more like in the industry. So I think I am very used to being like, nothing is certain.
Yeah.
Okay, your necklace fell off again.
Okay, I got this from Amazon.
Your diamond necklace is broken.
It's so fake. Could you imagine though, if this was real? This would be like worth like $200,000.
It's hard to know.
No, I got it.
I didn't realize how expensive stuff like that was. And Kendall's been like, I want a gold chain. I want a gold chain. So I went into a store with our friend because I was like, I'm going to surprise Kendall with a gold chain. And I was
Why does Kendall want a gold chain? Because that's so funny.
Kendall's very new money. She's very Kendall grew up really poor. And so now like Kendall kind of likes cartoonish ideas of wealth, which is always very funny to me because I don't know, I grew up very like middle class, where I guess I didn't think much about wealth in general, but I think because Kendall grew up without a lot of money, she's thinking about it. She thought about wealth more than I did, and she will be like, I should get a Gucci belt, and I'm like, why? I've never seen you wear a belt. She was just like, I just feel like that's class. And I'm like, it's a Gucci belt. What are you talking about?
I know, but I just love, like, I am tickled by Kendall.
Me too. She's literally the best. But I went in to go buy her this gold chain because I love her so much. And I was like, I'm going to get her a solid gold chain. I'm going to absolutely flex on her ass. Like, it's going to be unbelievable. She's going to be shocked. I was like, yeah, I'd like to look at your gold chains. They take them down. They showed it to me. They're like, well, here. I was like, great. Can you explain the pricing in these and the different carats, things like talking about, like, I have any idea
carats,
what I'm talking about. Does gold have carats? I have no clue. I'm saying things that are wrong.
It's weight, but yeah.
But so they already know that
ounces,
I'm not supposed to be in this space, right? She's like, well, this is our cheapest chain. It starts at $2,000. I was like, great. All right. Well, I don't know if I'm seeing styles that my wife is particularly fond of. So let me think on this and I'll come back. Had to run out of the store because I did not have enough money to be there. Had no clue.
I always pull the, oh my God, I forgot my wallet in my car. I don't want it to get stolen. And then I run away.
Yeah. I did not realize that gold was like that, which is stupid.
Gold is very expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense. It used to back the dollar, right? It used to be our main source of money. So
I still don't understand money.
No, there's no need to.
There's definitely a need to, but I don't understand it. Wait, speaking of money, speaking of wives, speaking of jewelry, apologize to the listeners for not asking this up top. What the fuck was that not wedding experience like?
It was very interesting. I want to say I love the Knot. The people that worked for the Knot.
I've heard they're great.
So nice.
And also, guys, at the Knot, I wish I could get married again so you could plan my wedding.
Yeah, they do this thing once a year that's kind of like an influencer wedding summit where they take engaged couples.
Just please pause. A wedding, an influencer wedding summit.
That's how I describe it.
Actually sounds like my fundamental worst nightmare.
Sure.
Until I watched your content and saw how fun it looked.
Well, the people from the knot were so nice and fun and funny. So it was really easy to be around them. And then this sounds so homo, but I really like Kendall a lot. And I could do anything with her and we would have a good time. I fundamentally mean that. So we were having a blast, just kind of knocking around, doing whatever. We felt guilty and we kept telling them because we're not having a wedding.
Well, so that's what I was going to say. Because can I tell you, though, the last time I saw you and Kendall, I saw her first because you were somewhere else. And I was like, oh my God, the knot. She was like, Liz, it was so fun. I was like, yeah, but I thought you guys aren't going to have a wedding. She's like, honestly, now I'm thinking maybe we could.
No, we're not. She just kind of got caught up in the wonder of it all. But also, once again, like Kendall is like wannabe fancy. So there are things where it's like we couldn't have a small wedding. We would have to have a $300,000 wedding with 800 people. And not only does she not want that, even if she did, we could not afford that. So it doesn't make sense. We're just going to go on a big long honeymoon.
Which I love. Remember, we've talked about.
Great. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. And there are just things where it's like, my parents don't care about a wedding. I think the only person in our life that would have cared about us having a wedding is Kendall's dad, and he has since passed away. And I think there would be a real felt absence without him.
Well, yeah.
And she and I were both very close to him. And I think it would just feel weird. And so I think we're just going to go on like a 3-week trip to Japan, go all over the country.
We're now in Japan. Last time I talked,
we were talking
going
Thailand.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking Greece.
We also thought Greece.
Okay.
Listen, and next time I talk to you, we could be thinking Fiji. There's no way to know what we're going to do.
I think you can skip Fiji. Like for your honeymoon 3 weeks, I think you guys need more activity.
Yeah. So
knowing the two of you, even as which is not even that well, but I love you and I, in my mind, believe we've known each other for eternities.
That's what it feels like.
I feel like Japan feels good. Thailand, I just love Thailand so deeply. And plus your money goes far.
We wanted to go to Thailand, but then we went on a 3-day trip to Mexico and it reminded me what humidity is. And I was
just go at a different time.
No, it's always humid.
No,
Even
it's
when
not.
you go the best time, it's still more hot and humid than going to Japan in the winter. I can't be relaxed when it's hot and humid, which is crazy because I grew up going between New Orleans and South Florida.
You and my
I
wife
grew up in like maximum humidity.
No.
And now that I'm gone from it, I can't go back to it.
Rachel, the second she gets hot, if I see, because she's a face sweater, if I see a touch of sweat, I'm like, it's not going to be fun for me today.
Mm-hmm.
She cannot. It's almost as if she's heating and lighting herself on fire from the inside. But I'm there trying to mitigate all the fire and it's just heat, no go. But I do think you can go to Thailand still.
We will go. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I think it seems perfect and I can't wait to go. For our honeymoon, we just were like, we can't even risk me being hot. We have to go somewhere cold.
Honestly, word. Because we were in Greece and Rachel did get hot a couple of times and I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to leave my honeymoon still in love.
You will.
And if we go to a hot destination, I'll be dead by the end of the trip. So there's no way to leave it still in love because I'm in the ground.
It's so hot in LA though now.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I never go outside.
God, you know, not only is it humid and hot in LA, but now we have fucking mosquitoes.
I said this to someone the other day because I moved to LA in high school. I was like, I don't remember we used to have mosquitoes.
If you want to go on this deep dive of hell about mosquitoes, you and Rachel, who, by the way, I will tell you, highest compliment when I posted the picture of us the other day. Rachel's like, those girls just seem so lovely. I'm like, Rachel, they are. She's like, I know. They just seem great. I'm like, we need to have them over for dinner, which I've said a million times.
And you keep threatening me with that, but not doing it. So what's going on?
Okay, we're doing it.
Okay.
Also, we live so close because we commuted here together.
We did.
We are going to do it. Okay, so we're thinking Japan. We're thinking honeymoon. The knot. Now, were you doing activities like flower arrangement course? Oh,
they took
you
us,
really
and
were.
We told them. We were honest with them. We were not trying to pull a fast one on them. We were like, oh, we're not having a wedding. And they were like, we still want you to come. And we were like, okay, sure, great. Why not? We did not get paid to go. It was just a thing we got invited to. And Kendall and I were like, okay, sounds fun.
Yeah, but they covered you.
Schedule. Yes. But we were not compensated to be like, we loved this or whatever. It wasn't like a brand deal.
Sure.
They flew us out there, which is hard.
And weren't you in Aspen?
Yes.
Girl, I'll say I like it. Aspen. Weren't you also staying at like the Four Seasons?
It was all very nice. But this is what I'll say. Getting stuff for free is really nice when you first start getting stuff for free, because I had never gotten anything for free and didn't have any money. But when someone's like, we want you to come to Aspen for a week, but we're not going to pay you, that is so nice. I can't pay my rent with that. So
I know. Well, and that's the thing. I know.
Because it's very, very easy to start doing a lot of work for free in exchange for stuff. And it's like, ultimately, I don't need to go on a trip to Aspen. As beautiful and nice and great, awesome, I need to pay my rent. I need to like pay my medical bills.
Fair.
And I think it's very easy to get in the trap of like working for not money, because there are also things where people want to get very like, yeah, but you're getting this for free. I'm like, that's a company. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't personally care about a company. And that's a weird thing that I see a lot online is people being upset. Like, if a company wants to pay someone for something and they're like, that's too much money. I'm like, why are you upset that a company is paying an individual money? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think you bring up a really good point that I think some folks don't understand, which is that a lot of companies try to give free product, which actually costs them nothing in exchange for work. And things cost money.
Absolutely. And getting those free things are great. I feel very lucky to sometimes get free things, and I'm not trying to diminish that at all. But Kendall and I very quickly realized like, oh, we're doing a lot of free things. We have a lot of free blush. We don't have any money. So like we can't pay for gas.
Yeah.
But I look beat for the fucking gods when I like go out. It's just not sustainable.
No, it's not. I have a lot of free weed.
There you go.
Yeah, but it just sits in a huge box.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to pay
life
for things.
But you took a risk and you went to Aspen and you were like, let me flower arrange.
Well, and the knot was so nice. The knot was not trying to pull a fast one on us. They just genuinely were like, we're doing this thing. It's a thing they've done for years. And they invite people. And we were like, this seems fun. We had a little break in our schedule. We had been working a lot, so we hadn't really gotten to do anything together in a hot minute. So we were like, yeah, let's go. It's close enough to LA. Let's go. And I mean, they had us in stuff from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. of being like...
It felt like wedding summer camp.
That is exactly what it felt like. And it was just like thing after thing after thing. And I felt bad because I was like, oh, you seem very nice. I actually don't need you to teach me how to select napkins for a buffet table because I will have none of this. But I think we ended up doing more than a lot of people who could have potentially gone on that trip because Kendall and I have a podcast. So we came back and we did a full episode where we asked our listeners questions to these wedding professionals that are like some of the top wedding professionals in the world and got answers on those. And then we promoted all of those people on the episode. So at first we felt guilty because we were like, we're just taking and not giving. But then I think in the end, we actually ended up giving a decent amount.
And also giving your listeners a lot of great advice about weddings, given that you have a podcast called Happy Wife, Happy Life.
We do. Yeah. And I think weddings really can be a big scam. So getting to talk to these industry professionals who have no dog in the fight, right? Like they don't care. This fancy wedding planner, she doesn't care if I have a DJ or a band or whatever the thing is. And they could really just genuinely answer these questions about what is more important.
What was the most important thing they said?
Budget. They said starting your journey with a solid budget is the most important thing to know going into it because so many people come to them being like, well, I want this and this and this. How much would that cost? But you can't do that. You have to have your budget and your number of people you want to come to your wedding.
And then they back into it.
And then work from there. And then after that, they said things that were surprising to us. They said that tablecloths end up being such a huge focal point of your wedding itself, your wedding photos, things like that. So it's something that if you want to jazz up a space, you could save a lot of money by, instead of getting thousands and thousands of dollars worth of flowers that are very expensive, you could do cool tablecloths on all the tables, and it'll be really interesting to look at, add a lot to your space, but you'll save a lot of money. Also,
great tip.
To tip everyone, which I never would have thought of. I know that you tip certain people, but they were like, it is customary in the wedding industry to tip everyone.
Really?
Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, I tip my makeup artists who are now like some of my best friends.
Well, I think tipping hair and makeup feels customary, and tipping food stuff feels customary. But there's a lot of other people that they were like, the DJ typically gets a tip.
Oh, well, my DJ was my like ex-boyfriend friend, and he fucking basically just pressed play because Rachel and I were so crazy. We made a 9-hour playlist. And he's like, and then I basically sat at the DJ booth and was like, I don't like this song. Play this song. I mean, like, he got what he got.
Sure.
That's interesting. My biggest unsolicited wedding advice is this, which is just have a dinner party, keep it small, or just have a party with like light passed apps and cocktails if you need a lot of people. Save your fucking skrill and put it into a house or into your savings. Because guess what? You're essentially just throwing a party for everybody else because you're too tired, too hungry, too exhausted. You're managing everything. You're not going to have fun at your wedding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think saving for a house is something that was really important to Kendall. And that kind of took priority over everything else because housing stability was something that was really on her mind and really mattered to her.
It's huge. It's such a big deal.
Yeah. So she was like, that's what I want to put my money towards. And you know what I'll tell you, which is always interesting to me? I am always met by people that found out that Kendall and I bought our very small apartment that are like, ooh, okay, rich. And then I will find out that they had like an $80,000 wedding.
Well, it's just, but I know, but it's like priority. I mean, here's the thing.
But people will spend so much money on weddings and act like it's not money. They'll act like, oh, well, buying a house, buying an apartment, buying a car, that's like a luxury. Having a wedding is necessary or something like that is like, I feel like a lot of what I've been met with where I'm like, what?
It's just about priorities. I find it insane. Listen, I had a blast in my wedding. Everybody to this day, some of my harshest food critics have said it was the best food. It was so chill. It was so wonderful. My aunt hosted it. It was like chill vibes. The cops kept getting called because the rap music was playing. It was like wonderful. Like the only thing that was missing was ravioli, but she wasn't born yet.
Sure.
But I don't know. I think it's priorities. I think, not to like bring it all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, but I think the internet has made us all have really fucked up priorities. I think we're looking at ourselves in the mirror too much. I think we're looking at everybody else's face too much. I think we're commenting on what people buy, what they don't. Everybody's showing us what they're buying. Everybody's showing us what restaurants they're going to. I don't need to fucking know. It's not my business.
But you need to know what restaurants I'm going to, right?
Well, you're the only one that matters. You actually are the only one that matters to me.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, if people are doing things in a positive way with positivity in their heart, and if it's not harming anybody else, I think it's awesome. If you want to show me what sweaters you bought at Cezanne, I think that's great. If it's coming from a fun place because you really like Cezanne sweaters.
That is so specific, but I love you.
It's what I see. And I think that's great. But I think if you're being bad, then you're being bad. And I think we need to kind of go back to that and really think. Because you know what I'll tell you too?
Tell me.
Positivity is great. Good intentions are great. But you also have to put genuine thoughtfulness behind that. Because I want people to stop commenting on my weight in a positive way because I don't want them to comment on my weight at all.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah. I mean, listen, my weight has fluctuated 50 pounds up and down my entire, if not more, my entire life. And looking back on if I was, quote, thinner at a certain point, which by the way, doesn't mean I was healthier. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
And the commenting, oh, you look great, or like the otherwise, it's too much.
Yes.
I don't want anyone to comment on my shit. I totally hear you. I hear you. I think the positive, it's like, it's too much.
Well, because for me, I'm really trying to practice body neutrality.
Okay.
I think it's unwell how much all of us think about the aesthetics of our body in this day and age. It's really, there's no way for it to not make you feel bad. And I really had to practice that when last year, at this point now, like maybe almost 2 years ago, I messed up both my feet in an unpreventable injury and was in and out of a wheelchair, was unable to walk for large portions of time, unable to stand for large portions of time. Really was hell because I was in so much pain, but also gaining weight because I went from dancing every day, walking everywhere, whatever, to being almost fully sedentary. And I had to be like, this is what it is. It's fine. And how much guilt I felt initially from gaining weight because of an unpreventable injury that I had was awful. So I really had to try to practice body neutrality and just be like, I'm working on this thing. I don't need to be obsessed with the way my body looks. But even now, obviously people are rude about my body, but also people will be like, I love seeing that you can be fat and you can be happy or whatever. And I'm like, that's
why would you
weird.
Post that on the internet?
It's weird. And there's nothing wrong with the word fat. There's a lot of controversy around like whether or not I would be considered fat, depending on who you talk to. Some people would say yes. Some people would say no. I'm an adult size large. I'm not even plus size. But the amount of people, even when like I post my videos from Japan, people are like, I'm also fat. Did you feel comfortable being fat in Japan? And I'm like, I understand where that curiosity comes from. And I don't think you're inherently doing anything wrong or bad. But at the same time, it is not helpful to me as a person to hear how you perceive my body, because it ultimately doesn't matter how you perceive my body. And if I wanted to come on the internet and open a discussion, open a dialogue about my looks, my weight, my body, I would do that. But when I'm posting a video being like, this is the most delicious and affordable sushi I had on my trip with my wife, and people are like, brave of you to be so fat.
I'm only laughing because it's insane, Jordan.
It's just, you never know.
And it's making me uncomfortable, and that's why I laugh when I'm uncomfortable.
But you never know where people are at. Do you know what I mean? Like, people have been really rude to me about my weight, and then someone will be like, oh, well, Jordan had an injury, and that's why they've gained weight. And people are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it actually doesn't matter. When I was in college, I first got IBS so bad that they thought I had Crohn's disease. So I was like very sick.
That's awful.
I had to get like colonoscopies and stuff because they were like, maybe you have colon cancer. I lost so much weight. Could not leave my house a lot because I could not stop having diarrhea. And people in my acting program were like, you look unbelievable. They were like, you look unbelievable.
So
what do you do? I'm like, I have diarrhea 8 to 12 times a day. I can't leave my house or maintain relationships because I'm so sick. I have no life in my eyes. My skin is dunzo. And people were like, you look incredible.
But that's what I didn't have, like explosive nonstop diarrhea, which I am so that I can't think of. It's the only thing actually I can think of worse is constipation, because that's like even worse.
Sure.
But that's what I was trying to say earlier. Like, I've been really unhealthy, like sick. And they're like, you look great. And I'm like, bitch.
I also think it like gives you dysmorphia of like, people like will always be like, Jordan, you're plus size. Like, so I love seeing a plus size comedian. I'm like, oh, I'm not plus size. And it would be fine if I was, but I'm not. And then I get people who are like, you're not plus size, so why are people labeling you as plus size? That's like doing an injustice to the plus size community.
Oh, no.
Things like that, where I'm just like, I am trying to not have the stuff I make be about my weight or my body, because that's not what I think the most interesting thing about me is. That's not my biggest concern in life. So I don't need any of that. For me, I'm like, we got to be more careful with the commenting as a unit. And I'm sure in my life, I've made a comment, maybe not left a physical comment, but made a comment to someone that was bad. And
of course, we all have.
Remember, we've all made a mistake.
Speaking of comments, when I was on Happy Wife, Happy Life, I said, I'm not a perfect person, but I'm not mean. And people said, only a mean person would say that. And I'm like, you're so fucking stupid. Like, I'm literally just saying, I'm not inherently mean. I can be bitchy.
Sure.
I can be a lot of things. I'm like, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint.
Yeah.
I do not feel ashamed.
And I think that's the most important thing to remember. But we gotta not be ashamed. We gotta be just trying our best, and then we gotta be open to feedback. So when somebody leaves a comment like that about my weight on a video that's 100% not about my weight, I'm not upset at them. I'm just like, oh, I wish they wouldn't do that. And then
move on.
And then we can all move on because it's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Because I'm not important. And
you are important.
I'm not important and you're not important. And ultimately, all of us.
Not important. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Well, all of us are equal levels of not important and important, right? Like we're all just kind of people floating around, doing our best. And if you're not doing your best, that sucks. But do your best.
Do your best. I think the only important person is Ravioli. Was she not an angel this whole episode?
She's so cute. And she's added a lot to the discourse.
Do you think? She was very quiet. She was very mindful. She was very demure.
I think she was very mindful. I think she was very thoughtful. I felt a lot of active listening.
Poor Ravioli. She's like...
Why poor Ravioli?
Because she just wants to be with her mom all the time.
Why is that bad?
Can't.
I see. She seems fine now.
Yeah, because she's with me.
Yeah.
This is what she wants.
That's good.
She wants Rachel and I. She wants to be sandwiched between her two moms 24/7.
I would like to be sandwiched between Rachel too. What's wrong with that?
Come on over.
I think most people feel that way.
I don't know.
Seems like it'd be a good spot.
It is. It's cozy on the couch.
I love that.
I love you, Jordan.
I love you.
In the dry states of the Southwest, there's a group that's been denied a basic human right.
In the Navajo Nation today, a third of our households don't have running water.
But that's not something they chose for themselves. Can the Navajo people reclaim their right to water and contend with the government's legacy of control and neglect?
Our water, our future, our water, our future.
That's in the next season of Reclaimed, the lifeblood of Navajo Nation. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.